Well, howdy, y'all. This is Richard back. I'm trying something a little different, as you can see. So you guys will see Restream. I'm trying this out. So we're going to see. I'm going to turn the chat off for just a second there. All right. So, hey guys, this is Richard. I'm going to stand in the shade so that I'm not completely blinded. This is awesome. I'm in front of the very, very famous Atwater Market, and so we're starting something different. We're starting something new. We're going to try this out and see how it goes. So. Welcome. Um, my name is Richard. We're going to be talking about, this is day 6 of 100, and there is no self-destruct button. This is straight talk and straight questions about anything you guys want to know about technology, computers, cell phones, any of that. I'm here for your questions. I really want to have some fun with this. So welcome. And apparently we're live. So this is great. Thank you. All right, and so yes, we're live, and I'm hoping. Oh, well, we got somebody watching. Hey, how's it going? All right. So we hope you're enjoying the view. Again, famous Atwater Market, and today's theme is resolution. You'll hear it a lot when referring to anything involving computer graphics. So I'm going to be talking a lot about computer graphics today and resolution. Oh, wow, we got 2 of you on. If you guys chat into the video, I should be able to see everything. We are actually simulcasting to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch right away. So thanks for tuning in. Love to see you guys. Thanks for coming on board. Let's see about resolution. So resolution. We keep hearing, especially where digital cameras are concerned. Actually, how's the sound on this thing? We keep hearing, as far as digital cameras are concerned, about resolution, the number of megapixels, and then there's so much kind of weird stuff around computer graphics, and you know, oh well, that's so many pixels, and this is so many pixels. So you know what? Let's break it down. Let's really kind of get into it and understand what computer graphics are all about, or what pixels are all about. So we talked about space measurement, and the smallest unit of space for data is smallest functional one is a byte, right? Pixels are the all-purpose go-to unit of measure when you're dealing with computer graphics. There's a catch, though, with pixels. You can have an image that is 600 pixels wide by 400 pixels tall, and it is referred to as a low resolution image because there's not enough pixels both ways. There's not enough pixels to make it very big. The trick with pixels is that pixels don't have a size. We measure with them, but an actual pixel could be infinitesimally small, or it could be extraordinarily large. But the larger a pixel is, the less fidelity, or the less you're going to see the image. Because if it gets too big, it starts looking like a tile mosaic. So that gets kind of interesting, right? If my face, for example, right now, were very, very low resolution, you would actually see, well, maybe not quite that big, but you know, smaller, you would see squares of different colors that make up the image. But it gets very interesting because the more pixels you add, the higher the resolution. So resolution is the total number of pixels, the width times the height of pixels. And that is what makes for a high resolution image. And what's nice about a high resolution image is that, of course, you have more to see. You can zoom in without starting to see the faults, which is neat. There's something else. And this is, a lot of people will say, hey, but what about PPI or DPI? What about dots per inch? Well, that's the catch, isn't it? You could take a low resolution image and blow it up to the size of a sheet of paper. The problem with doing so is when you blow it up to the size of the sheet of paper, your pixels are going to be very, very large, and it's going to make your image look really fuzzy and ultimately kind of crappy. And we don't want that. Unless that is the effect you're going for, in which case some people do that. You know, you want to kind of get a mosaic type effect, and that's okay, you can do that. But DPI, or dots per inch, or PPI, pixels per inch, is basically how many pixels you can tell a computer to say, hey, this image, I want you to make it a certain number of pixels per square inch. So what happens is when you have a number of pixels per inch, the higher the pixels per inch, the better the image will appear once it's printed out. So that's kind of cool to get into that. The same thing applies when you talk about monitors. High-end monitors will go on about their PPI, or pixels per inch. Again, Apple's Retina monitors, for example, are known for their very, very high pixels per inch, which means that when you look at the same image on an Apple monitor, while faces may not be that much different, you will notice that text comes out a lot sharper and a lot clearer. So that's kind of neat when you start talking about pixel per inch. We refer to this also, sometimes you'll hear about pixel density or high pixel density. So that is what they're talking about, is that you have more pixels in less physical space. So your image comes out really, really nice. The same applies to DPI for paper. So the higher the DPI, so if you send an image to a magazine, for example, they're going to ask for no less than 300 DPI, preferably 450, but 300 is still really good. So that's the catch. If I want to print an image that is 10 inches wide, well, I'm going to need something that is at least 3,000 pixels. So 10 inches times 300 pixels per inch. So I'm going to need at least 3,000 pixels wide. If I want a 20-inch canvas, I'm going to need at least 6,000 pixels. So that gets, it seems very simple when you start kind of just applying very simple math to it. And it really is that simple. It's just a matter of you have to kind of account for the physical space. The other thing, when you talk about monitors or television or projectors or what have you, you'll notice something very specific. TVs don't tell you how many pixels they are. Well, they do actually, but they do so in a very indirect manner. The way they do that is they have certain standards, like you'll hear about 720. Usually there'll be something following it, but 720p. Well, 720p. So I have to memorize these things. Actually, it's kind of neat. So all screens, or all televisions at least, that are properly formatted have an aspect ratio. Now the aspect ratio, if we have a 1-to-1 aspect ratio, we've got a square. We've got literally a square that is 1 time wide by 1 time high. But theaters and televisions use 16 by 9. 16 by 9. And your 720 is the number of lines from the top to the bottom. So there are 700. So my resolution for the height is 720. So if I were to divide that by 9 and multiply it by 16, it would give me 1280. 1280 for the resolution. So that's how we know what resolution the TV is at. More often than not, you will hear about full HD or 1080p. Again, 1080 lines down. If we apply the aspect ratio calculation, it gives us 1920. So it's a higher definition. So now we've got TVs that are 4K. So that must mean that it's 4,000 lines. That's a lot of resolution. Marketing caveat. Because 2K and 4K sounds nice, especially 4K, it was like, well, yes, of course it's 4,000, but it's not 4,000 down and apply the aspect ratio. It's 4,000 across, and then you apply the aspect ratio to the height. It's a marketing ploy. It was meant to make you think that it was, oh, that much more, but it isn't. So just so you know that. It's always kind of cool to know. So TVs all use the same standard resolutions. Same thing with computer monitors. Most computer monitors now are 1080p. So that's how resolution, that's the basics of how resolution works, is this idea of I have a basic unit of measurement, but it has no physical size. It could be very, very small, very, very large. But we don't want it to be very, very large, because if it's very, very large, then it doesn't look quite right. The exception to this also comes in terms of viewing distance. Why does the Jumbotron at the sports event look okay? The pixels are big. They're big, big block lights that have different colors. Why can we see those so clearly? Because we're so far away that perceptually, from our point of view of where our eye is, it is quite small. And therefore, while still low resolution, very large overall. So they're going for massive size versus image fidelity. That's okay. That actually worked quite well. Oh, and the clock tower is working. Isn't that nice, eh? Cool. All right. So interesting to know that that's how resolution works. That is the crux of it. That is the big trick. So how does this apply to digital cameras? We keep hearing about, oh, well, this camera is 5 megapixels. This camera is 8 megapixel. This camera is 12 megapixel. It's the exact same thing in reverse. It's instead of the number of pixels it displays outward, these cameras use, instead of film, a little sensor called a CCD, or a color capture device. And it takes light in. And of course, it has to have a number of pixels or receptors. And it has receptors in the same way that it would have, that a projector or a monitor would have pixels. So it takes the light image in and transcribes that value into digital format. In fact, all it is, really, if you break down a standard graphic, is a grid. It's a piece of graph paper, really, again, variable size, but still a graph with 3 numbers. Red, one number representing the red value from 0 to 255, green, and blue, same. And when you combine all of these, you get 16.7 million possible colors. So you can get those nice, even degradés in the sky, or those subtleties in the clouds, or the trees, or what have you. So it must be that higher megapixel is always better. Not always. It gets interesting because if the sensors are too small and they're taking in too fine a point of light, or the lenses aren't delivering that light in a decent or in a diffused way, or slightly diffused way, you will wind up having what looks very grainy, very dusty almost. So that's not very helpful. Again, it works, the digital camera's megapixel system works the same way. It is a total number of pixels wide by a total number of pixels high, and it will output images in that resolution. And they correspond one for one with how they would display on a monitor. Thus, a camera that gives me 6,000 pixels wide would give me something that I could print at 300 dots per inch, about, well, 3,000, yeah, so 3,000, about 5 inches, right? I read on that one? Yeah, 3,000. 3,000 pixels, 10, yeah. 3,000 would give me 10 inches. So if I got 3,000 pixels wide, I could divide that by 300 and get my 10 inches. If something only gives me 600, then I can print 2 inches, the size of a postage stamp. This applies, of course, to the height as well. I hope that's been helpful, and I am looking forward to any questions you guys might have. It seems like there's only one of you watching right now, and that's okay. But yeah. Did I ramble through that? Did I ramble through that too fast? I figure tomorrow might be a good day to kind of say, well, look, we talked about resolution. Let's talk maybe about how we get the image from one place to another. So we'll do a little bit of that tomorrow. Oh, hey, thanks for tuning in. And if you guys have I see some questions here, or I see something coming in. So what is 4K? I love this question. All right, fantastic. So I mentioned that 720 was the number of lines, or 1080 is the number of lines. 4K should be 4,000 lines, or 4,000, the resolution of the height should be 4,000 pixels high. Give or take, 4,096 actually. But the catch is there's a marketing trick to that. It doesn't work quite like that. 4K, for marketing reasons, goes from left to right. So the actual resolution is 4,096 by, I think it's 1980? I'd have to calculate it. But versus 8K, which follows the same principle. I love that. So 4K, so 4,096 versus 8,100 whatever it is. 1,128, I think. 8,128 wide. And then we take our aspect ratio, 16. So we would divide that 8,000 by 16, multiply it by 9, and we would get the height of that image. Now, any of you who've heard me talk about resolution before, or 8K specifically, will know that I can rant a little bit on it. And 8K is a fantastic concept. But I talked also about perceptual size. To have a 50-inch television with 8K is pointless, because the pixels would be so small that the detail they offer would give you no benefit as a viewer. 8K is best served for a much larger screen, somewhere between 65 to 140 inches wide, or 140 diagonal. So 8K is made for would be for much larger. The other problem with 8K, there are no video sources. There's no 8K content. There's nothing out there that's 8K. So why would I get an 8K TV? Even just recently, within the past 2 years, I believe, not even, within the past year and a half, Xbox was the first to actually release the Xbox One Series X that allows for 4K video content, and you can get 4K Blu-ray discs, right? But the catalog is very limited. There is no 8K content. So why would you buy an 8K TV when there is no media for it? It's kind of a marketing ploy, and as anyone who knows me well enough knows, that's not really something I'm very down or about, or I'm not big on the marketing ploys like that. So, for what that's worth, there you go. So that is 8K, 4K and 8K. It's a strange little trick. If we have any other questions, I'm welcome to it. I welcome you, the three of you watching, to check that out, and go ahead and ask your questions, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch. And if you like this one, again, please comment to me on any of the 3 platforms. I would love to see more. Send me your questions. I love questions, and it doesn't have to be on my topic. Heck, I might even run my topic around your questions if I get a few of them. So, thanks for tuning in. Loved doing this. Love doing this. A lot of fun doing this, and I hope you like this new format. I hope it comes out super nice, super clear. And I want to thank you for tuning in. I will be having guests and so on. Oh, so what size computer monitor is the best to buy? What a fantastic question. Um, Computer monitors, you want to get at the very minimum 1080p or 1920 by 1080. That's currently kind of the go-to standard, but um, anything larger will, of course, give you nice clarity. All of the Apple monitors now, especially the new iMacs, the brand new iMacs, slim things, they're almost as thin as an iPad. It's crazy. Are 4.5, no, those ones are, yeah, 4.5K. So that means they are really, really high res. They are super clean for text and whatnot. So you want to get minimum 1080 or higher. And again, no point in getting a 4K monitor in a 22-inch format. It's just overkill. So you generally want to have, depending on the distance you're going to be sitting and whatnot, if you're going to be sitting very close, more pixels in a finer space is actually a good thing if you're going to be sitting on top of it. But for those with vision problems, and I know there are a lot of people out there with vision issues, you may want to get a monitor that is slightly larger so that you really do have a clean, crisp image and text, especially text. And you also want to kind of look at the overall brightness. The best way to buy a monitor is, and I'm not kidding, is to go to the showroom and have a look. Because you can buy things on spec, just like you can buy clothing online using just the measurements. But kind of interesting how it never really fits just right. You know, how do their sizes go quite right? Oh, this is a great question. Thank you, Deb. I love the questions. You're giving such good ones. Do touchscreens compromise image on a computer monitor? They did once upon a time because the monitor had to be underneath a special film, and the film was actually quite thick, and it understood not the touch itself, but the tap on the monitor, which is why a lot of people would use pens and tap at the monitor, and you would hear waiters using the systems in the restaurant, tap, 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 tap. Instead of that, now we've gotten to capacitor touch. Um, those actually understand. I mentioned a few days back the plasma ball. You know the ball which has like the electricity flowing through it, but the second you put your finger even near the glass, it kind of goes direct. Well, the iPads, tablets, and modern modern touch screens work very much like that. In that there is an extraordinarily small electric charge that goes between two grids, but it doesn't compromise the image quality in any way that you're going to notice, unless you start looking at it under an electron microscope. So that is a fabulous, fabulous question. Oh, I love it. There's three of you. Guys, I really thank you for tuning in. I hope you guys are enjoying this series, and I look forward. I'm really looking forward to doing more and more, and I've got some fun plans. So really, thank you for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you guys more and more. Yeah, still a nice view, isn't it? All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm trying to get a little less long-winded, and I can see I've been up here for over 24 minutes. So I'm going to let you get back to your evenings. Really, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for supporting. And please, if you find this information useful or you think somebody would enjoy this, please do share it. I'd be most obliged if you would. And I look forward to upping my game even more. So we're always growing. This is a process over the next 100 days, but now it's 94 days to go, and still want to up my game. So thanks so much, and we'll see you guys again soon. Actually, well, I'll see you tomorrow night. Going live at 7:45, as always. Have a good evening.